the film and digital conversation comes up a lot, and I listen to a lot of conversations that DPs have at round table conversations and just conversations in prep and on a film and while we're shooting digital and while we're shooting film. I haven't got a preference. I enjoy both for different reasons. There isn't. I don't think there's a better format. I think every project that you go on to, if the DP or the director or the producers have all had the conversations beforehand and they decide to shoot on a certain format, it's obviously for the reason that's going to benefit the film. And I've been lucky enough recently to do a couple of movies on film and then a movie on digital, and now the movie I'm doing now is on film and IMAX. So I think it's really important as a technician to keep on top of things. And one thing I think that's really important is that I find on film sets is that there seems to be a lot more respect for film. That people tend to, when you're shooting digital, you could do take after take after take, and then you move on. When you're shooting film, you have to change the mag after 4 minutes. So if anyone wants to tweak stuff, hair and makeup or lighting or anything needs to change, you always get that opportunity. Sometimes, and a lot of the time it's because the director's got the actors in a really good place and they want to go again and go again and go again. And I completely understand the creative and performance side of that. But it does stop you being able to tweak a few things if you need to, because you obviously don't want to move around when they're shooting. So in terms of a preference of film or digital, I think they're equally as good as each other, and I enjoy both formats. One thing I do like about film is that you go to watch rushes the day after. So you trust your meter, you trust your instinct, and you actually go in, you watch it on a big screen, and you see exactly what you're going to get. Whereas when you shoot digital, it's there on the stage there, and then you've got a DIT technician that's been able to manipulate the colours and give it a fantastic look on the stage. Whereas when you shoot film, you're watching monitors that aren't really nowhere near as good as the HD monitors you get with a digital, and the only people that really know what you're going to get is very few people on the set. It's the director, it's the DP, it's the gaffer and the camera crew and everyone. But everyone that comes into the theatre the next day to watch the rushes, I really enjoys that. And it doesn't feel to me that you get that as much on a digital show. You tend to get more rushes on pics, and that's where a lot of people watch them. So I miss that when I'm not on a digital movie. It has changed a lot because especially the colours and the. I know there's some DPs that still set a digital camera at 3200 Kelvin and they treat it like they would a film stock. It's either daylight or tungsten. And then the colours are changed on the lamp, whereas nowadays on a digital show, if you're using LEDs as well, the DIT guys manipulate the colour temperature of the camera, but it does become, sometimes you could be out setting lights and changing colours on lights, and the DOP could be with the DIT technician in the tent, and then you go back in there and you're sort of combating one another. You're changing colours, they're changing colours. So it's really important that you get a really good communication link between all three of you, that you're not combating one another in what you're actually doing. So it's really important that everything sort of goes through the DP, and if one thing's happening, especially with changing exposures and that, because if it looks a bit bright sometimes, people tend to stop down a fraction, and but then all the background drops down. So all we need to do, we just need a minute to just dim the lights and set some levels, and it makes it a lot better. One thing I find about digital is that we literally start turning some lights on without setting levels, and then that image is projected on the screen. So it goes to the director, it goes to here, and everyone's seeing these images. When you haven't actually manipulated any lights, all you've started doing is turning them on. So some people do get a bit frightened sometimes that you turn a couple of 20Ks on, you haven't diffused them, you haven't manipulated them, you haven't cut any light. And but if people just give you the chance to just start scrimming lamps or dimming them or setting them or softening them or cutting them, and then you can actually do your job. But there has been a couple of occasions where the lights have come on and the director's like, oh, I love that, but you haven't even done anything yet, and it's like, well, give us some. No, I love it, and it's like the DP's going, no. But no, so the last film we done, Aladdin, we was doing a night shoot. We had a massive set on the back lot at Longcross, and the director was watching his monitor, and he was talking to the first assistant and the DOP through his radio, and we were still trying to find the look, and the DIT technician, who was brilliant on that movie, was manipulating the colour on the camera. We were trying to correct lights, and it was all going on. Then all of a sudden the director loved the look. He shouted, no, I love that. But we was in the middle of the process. So we've carried on lighting. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. He's come out to see us. What's going on? And basically we'd hit a point or a colour temperature or the look that he absolutely loved. And then we had to backtrack and try and find out exactly where that was. So, but it was fun. That's part of the digital. It's really important that happens sometimes as well, because you never always know exactly what the director wants. But when they see it on the screen and they love it, it's brilliant. And it's that input was really good, because then you're like, oh, now we know exactly how we want our nights to look, and they're like over the moon, happy with it. So that was fun. That was a fun night shoot, because we were changing light and colour temperatures, and the DIT guy was changing it. We were changing exposures. We were putting lights in, and it was a good run around. It was fun, good exercise. We've rigged some big stages like most people have. We had 5 big stages. The 5 new stages at Pinewood, we had all them to rig on one movie, on the Nutcracker, and that was a big rig in terms of the size of the job on its own, because them stages are pretty big, and luckily enough, we managed to get all the lights we needed to cover all the bases there, and we basically rigged all the stages and we were jumping about between them. The stage work tends to be, you've got the time and you've got the people and the process to do that, but there's locations where sometimes you have very, very limited time to get in and rig them, due to the availability of the locations and the cost of them. And but big rigs in terms of night, it's usually, we've had some big rigs at Upper Hayford. We shot there. We done some night shoots there, and we covered an area that was the size of, I don't know how big it was. It must have been, I don't know, would you reckon, 30 or 40 football pitches?
I don't think I was there.
He wasn't there. It was the biggest rig we had. We had it took us 4 weeks to cable it and rig the cranes and the lights, and it was a night shoot on Wonder Woman, and Matt, the DP, was like, this is the biggest night shoot I've done. And a lot of people that stood out there were like, yeah, this is a big one. And it worked well. It worked really, really well. There's a lot of the time the big rigs, Lincoln Cathedral was a big rig for us, because we shot in there and we had to control the sunlight. So we were only shot in there for one day. We had very limited time to shoot the scene that we needed to shoot in there. So we had rows and rows of 18Ks one side, and we had to control the light on the other. So my HOD rigger, Mick, I spoke to him and Tom, my rigging gaffer, and we spoke about how we could do that. And basically we had to put a curtain system up the sunny side of the cathedral. And it was a massive rig that went in, and it worked really, really well. So the hardest rigs that I find, and they're not even rigs, it's about maintaining a look for a day, for example. In the UK, you get, it's sunny 1 minute, then it's grey skies, then it could rain. But if you've only got a short amount of time at a location where you can't jump in for the close-ups and control it, it's just about trying to, whether you got to put a 40x40 up or whatever you can do to maintain the look for the cameraman in that time. So, yeah, we tend to use telehandlers with 20x20s quite a lot and 40x40s, and inevitably when you want it to be overcast for the nature of the scene, the sun pops out, and it's about taking light away a lot of the time on day exteriors if you need to that. If you want it to be a sunny look, hopefully it's sunny, or you can put some big lamps up to make it work, and then there's other times where you need to take the sun away and the sun's out, so it's about putting as much negative in or manipulating and controlling the natural daylight that's there as much as possible. So there's times when we've had 10 or 12 telehandlers lined up with 20x20s on them just to try and complete a scene, and they work really, really well. They've become sort of the workhorse of the industry, really, telehandlers. And the guys that drive them are a real asset, because when you're on the radio talking to them, they need to get it in between you and the sun. And luckily, the guys I work with, sometimes my communication might not be as good as it should be, but they know exactly where they've got to get them. And if we need to stack them up or spread them out, we're able to achieve that.